This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Hate the Titans.
Back drop to throw. Looking. Fires toward the back of the end zone. That ball's going to be caught for the touchdown in the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. for the score.
We just want Mac to be Mac, right? Don't have to do anything special, right? Just make the plays that come to him, deliver the football where it needs to go, put us in the right run if we need to, change protection, all that stuff he's capable of doing.
Statistically, they don't give a lot. Give up a lot of yards, and their yard per play is really low. So they do a great job. Pass defense, like number one, I think. So they have a great defensive line, obviously, and the scheme is really good. And a little bit of the Ravens scheme too, with some blitzes and things. So it'll be a big challenge, and they've been playing well on defense.
We got 5 games trying to make stuff look right in our preparation and just the way that we take our preparation to the game. So there's bigger fish to fry than a division championship right now. I think, as us being professionals and the talent that we have, not being able to get it right is what we need to focus on week in, week out.
Game day is underway. This is the Terminix Kickoff Show on 1010XL. Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch. Here are your hosts, Mia O'Brien and Tom McManus.
If hearing the sweet, sonorous voice of Leon Searcy saying, I hate the Titans, can't fire you up, Tom McManus, regardless of what the Jaguars' record is, I am not sure what will. Welcome into the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. Mia O'Brien, Tom McManus, Hayes Carlyon will join us from Nashville, as will the voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars, Frank Frangie. But first and foremost, Tommy Mack.
Good morning.
First time we're doing a show in studio together, I believe, this season.
No, I don't know. Remember earlier in the year you and I did a show, I think, or was that last year?
I think it was last year. Listen,
it's coming together.
It all bleeds together. I was actually thinking about it watching college football last night. Yeah. Alabama beat Georgia. I'm old enough to remember that. Yeah. Alabama beat Georgia in Tuscaloosa. What would have been week 5 of the college football season this fall, week 4 of the NFL season, because I was in Houston.
All right.
And I went out for ice cream with friends and missed the entire second half. And all I could think was, wow, that was the same Jaguars season as this one,
right,
that we currently find ourselves mired in a 2-10 season, the most recent loss of which came in yet another one-possession loss last week at Everbank Stadium, 23-20. I want to get your thoughts on a whole heck of a lot of things, but let's begin with last week, the fallout following that loss to the Houston Texans. You came in and you're still fired up about the discourse surrounding the hit by Azeez Al-Shaair on Trevor Lawrence and what that means for both players and both franchises long term.
Well, first of all, I'm glad Trevor's okay, because that was a vicious collision by Shaair. I find it fascinating. A lot of former players and a lot of national pundits are coming to his defense. I think a lot of it, they feel like he's being characterized as this villain. And granted, he throws out the Joker, picture and says, just wait. Like, I don't even know what the heck the guy's thinking. But, look, I think when you look at the fines that he racked up prior to the hit, which were pretty much almost every week, it felt like, or like at least starting in late October, if he had a couple $10,000, $13,000 fines for late hits, punching a guy, that type of thing. I don't think when he sees Trevor running, I don't think he's thinking, I'm going to take his head off. But I think that last second where you got a shot to take his head off, he went for it. And it was illegal, and it was cheap. I don't think he would have avoided him altogether if he dove. I think something's going to hit. Because it's so hard. I mean, look, in his defense, now granted, he's not running full speed, but it don't take much to get to at least full power, to drop your hips, lower your body, and, thrust into somebody. But at that last second, he did. So I liked the fight after. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I remember there was a fight, it was like 96, and Dana Hall, our safety, he's like, You throw out the fines. You throw out everything. You don't care about nothing. You go and fight for your brother, and I'm glad to see that they did that. The Texans defending him, they kind of have to defend him to a certain degree, but I think they took it a little too far. But whatever. Listen, man, it's a violent game. The only thing I will say to Trevor, he wasn't late, but he better get that big upper body down because it was almost standing. He was almost upright when he got it. He was a little bit bent back, but get down. You got to keep yourself safe. You know they're coming for you, even in that open field running. I mean, look, we saw the hit. I came in from this morning, like that hit last night.
You couldn't believe the hit that was laid.
That was incredible.
In the Texas-Georgia SEC championship game on Gunnar Stockton within the 5-yard line. And you said, as soon as you walked in this morning, you said, I'm so glad they picked up the flag for targeting.
Absolutely.
Because that's a legal hit, and that is a hit that guys dream of. And so that's where I want to ask you this, Tommy, and we're going to get to the fallout from the fight because I have a larger overarching question for you with regards to that. But there is a way that you can perhaps take things a little personally while still playing within the rules.
Yep.
Walk us through what that is, because obviously the comments from Doug Peterson did not necessarily reflect that. That is a possibility because he says he doesn't coach his players to go after anyone.
Well, I mean, the kid last night, he was just, it
was just a good play.
Make it a play.
Right.
I mean, quarterback's running. Now you're a running back. I think if that hit last night was in the pocket, like on a blitz, I bet you they flagged it for
targeting.
Or unnecessary roughness or, roughing the QB or something like that. But because he's running and he's in the open field, that's how it should be. Now, look, the protection is feet, you slide. You got to avoid the guy the second millisecond he starts sliding. Right? If they fake slide, the league's going to handle that. You can't. And here's another thing. Fighting for that extra yard, right when they slide, they're down. And it's where the ball is. So it's not like I'm defending that line. You know what I mean? That's the defense. Right. You're like, he's still 2 yards short, depending on where he slides. But no, listen, I think, big hits like that are the equalizer to scoring. Bunch of score. I mean, I know a lot of people like that. Bunch of scoring, back and forth. Well, the only way to really stop that is to knock somebody, to oblivion. Because a big hit does give you that emotional lift, or should, to the entire team, not just to that player, to that defense. The whole team should be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm about to get it.
The Jaguars did awesome. Perhaps their most effective series running the ball last week was immediately following the hit to Trevor Lawrence. Of course, as all of you know by now, Trevor Lawrence, his season is over. He has been placed on the reserve injured list. Doug Peterson did note it is not because of the concussion, although he remains in the concussion protocol. It is because of this decision to have surgery on his non-throwing shoulder. Of course, before we got the news that Trevor Lawrence would be placed on the reserve injured list, we did get to speak with Jaguar players on Wednesday. Here's Travis Etienne on the potential for no Trevor Lawrence the rest of the way, as well as what he told Trevor following the serious hit.
I definitely reached out to Trev. He's in great spirits. Trev just being the competitor that he is, I kind of I was like, man, I know I don't want to say this much, but I love you. Just seeing him on that field, just kind of running over and kind of seeing him like that, I feel like I never seen that ever. And you kind of hate that, I just kind of hate that feeling because we're brothers first and we're football players second. So I just checked up on his mental. I know everybody else reached out, and I'm just happy that he's in a better place mentally. And he has I told him, man, you have a daughter, you have a blessing that's coming, so get right, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and we'll be here holding it down for you and wait till you get back next year.
Yeah.
Wait till you get back next year was a bit of a foreshadowing. That was at about 2:30 on Wednesday, and then the news came down at 4 o'clock that Trevor Lawrence had been placed on the reserve.
Yeah, listen, first of all, they go way back, so there's a lot of love there. But, when the head is, every player I think would say it, the head is, when you have a head injury, it puts a lot into perspective. You tear your ACL, you tear your shoulder. It sucks. You're out for the year. You got to rehab and all that, but when you talk about headshots and they're affecting you like concussion, you start thinking about your career. You start thinking about your life. It's like neck injury, same deal, or guy gets knocked out, like Hamlin, that's the extreme. But, those that feel like when I saw that hit on Trump, like that could have been a career killer. Just from the sheer, even the nightmare of it all. I don't know what he remembers. You know, I don't know what he remembers. He's gonna, if he does, he's gonna remember it for a long time because that was a knockout shot. That was a big, big hit. Again, illegal, but it's a tough one to come back from.
So it opens the door for Mac Jones to have an extended audition, if you may, as a starter in the National Football League. He will get the start under center today in Nashville between the Jaguars and the Titans. It will be Mac Jones' third start of the season. He will presumably start the rest of the way. Here's Press Taylor, offense coordinator for your Jacksonville Jaguars, on not having Trevor and the opportunity that lies ahead for the Bulls product.
You can always try to engineer the game plan to best fit that player's skill set. And the quarterback, obviously, a lot revolves around him. So just understanding the communication throughout the course of the week of, here's our first and second down game plan. What do you think? And Matt giving feedback, providing feedback. We've built a couple plans for him now, so we kind of understand things he does like. So maybe you can expedite that process a little bit more where it's maybe less communication because we've had this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it is as it goes. I think from that standpoint of knowing who you're building the game plan for and what he likes and doesn't like against certain things, that can help.
Tommy, what are your expectations for Mac Jones today?
I'm expecting him to run the offense efficiently. I think those last two drives, although the first one, I think, the Texans kind of went in a shell but that second drive was legit. I mean, they had to stop him, and he made some good plays. I'm targeting Brian Thomas Jr., and I'm going deep. But by the way, twice last week, once with Trev and once with Mac. Mac overshot him. Trevor was just late throwing it. You see the replay. You can see the shadow of the football when it takes off. He's like, man, he really threw that late. That's why I was underthrown and picked.
The rustiness of perhaps not practicing, not having that connection.
It's got nothing to do with arm strength. It shows you the timing when you have a guy that's fast like Brian Thomas Jr. It's more about when you release it than how far you can throw it. And Mac was off. So I hope they go back to him. I love the cross route. He's perfect. Set him up, get him the ball, get Ingram involved, get Strange involved. I want to see more of Strange. I don't get kid makes a great play for you. Never see him again. Other than getting in the fight, which I loved, because that's my kind of guy right there.
Perhaps one of those two players will be Tommy's X Factor. That's coming up a little bit later in the program. Like I said, Tommy, I do have one more big question for you regarding the fight against the Texans. We'll get to that here in just a second, because now it is time to hear from the head coach himself, Doug Peterson, who caught up with Frank Frangie on Friday, as he does each and every Friday on the Frangie Show, brought to you by Renewal by Andersen.
The coach speaks. Jaguars coach Doug Peterson joins Frank Frangie right now. Presented by Renewal by Andersen Custom Windows and Doors.
All right, it is time now to talk football with the coach. Doug Peterson joins you along with Frank Frangie here on 1010XL. Doug, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Frank. Thanks again for having me on.
And love that you take some time to do this. I really appreciate that. Hey, first things first. Trevor obviously on IR because of the shoulder. We were talking about that. I know you talked about your presser today. How's he doing? I know you spent a little bit of time around him. How is Trevor, best you can tell, Doug?
Yeah, Trevor's still, he still has symptoms, and he's feeling much better. Than he did obviously a couple days ago, and continues to improve. He's still obviously in the concussion protocol, but he's doing well right now, doing good.
Good, and that's great to hear. And I know he's going to bounce back better than ever when he's back on the field in a year or so. Let's talk about Mac Jones. Mac obviously gets his third start as a Jaguar. He played pretty well, didn't he, Doug? Something the kind of turned the corner, the light went on. Was that maybe shaking the rust a little bit? Because I think those last two drives, he was very good.
Yeah, I think, playing, the more he plays the position, the more he gets comfortable with our offense and just calling things in the huddle and all of that, he improves each and every time out. He played really well for us, really the end of the first half into the second quarter last week and did some really good things to keep us in the football game and really, look forward to watching him play. Again, like I said, he's just getting more and more comfortable, again, with the terminology and with the system and really being around the guys, understanding who he's throwing the ball to. Because before, too, he wasn't taking a bunch of reps with the ones. I mean, Trevor was getting all the reps, and now for the last couple of weeks, he's taking all those snaps. So look for some good things with Mac Jones.
Yeah. Doug, tell me what you like about him? But we know him; he's from here. He seems like he enjoys life, man. I don't know him very well, right? Because he's still kind of new here, and I didn't know him like at Bowles. but he seems like kind of a fun-loving guy. Seems like he connects with those guys. Tell us what you like about Mac and what you see with regard to that.
Yeah, you know, Frank, that's who he is. He's kind of laid back a little bit. I'll tell you this though, he's laid back, but he's very serious when it comes to football. He's intense. He wants to win. He studies. He's a pro's pro. But he loves to have fun on the field with the guys. He loves to kind of, cut it up in the huddle a little bit and have some fun. And I think that's a way of him, kind of staying loose and keeping the guys loose around him. And yet when it's time to play ball, it's time to play. He's very serious. He takes it serious. And that's what I love about, Mac Jones.
You had to play some young players or new players because of injury. Gabe Davis and Christian now down for the year. That means more reps for Parker Washington. I know he had that great offseason, and I asked you this the other week, but I got to ask it again because he keeps playing well. Something's happened with him. That light's gone on for him, too. What kind of player can Parker Washington be? Because it looks like to me he could be a pretty good player in this league.
Yeah, Frank, he's another one that's really he's studied Christian Kirk a lot. He's been behind him a lot. He knows how he works and knows how he prepares for games. So that's a credit to Christian and getting Parker ready. But then again, Parker's come in. He's done an outstanding job preparing himself, getting himself ready. He's another one that works extremely hard. I love the way Parker attacks practice during the week, the walkthroughs, the meetings. He's another one that's intense. He loves football, and really does a good job of just kind of getting himself, in the right frame of mind, especially from a receiver. You don't see it a ton with receivers, but I feel like guys like Parker, guys like BT, Christian and Gabe obviously have it, but have that desire to be great.
Let's talk a little bit about the Titans. This rivalry has been so good for so many years. I mean, as long as there's been a Jaguars team, there's been a good rivalry with this Titans team.
Yeah.
What's it like when you coach in one of those rivalry games and you know the history and the guys know each other and they're they're a hard-nosed team? What's it like coaching against the Titans in this rivalry?
It's a lot like the last 2 years. It's always come down to like that week 18. One team is fighting to get into the postseason when the other one would love to spoil the postseason journey. This year's a little bit different, obviously, because both teams are kind of mathematically out of it. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be a physical football game. It's going to be a prideful football game. You want to go out there and put your best foot forward. You don't want to make a ton of mistakes because the team that doesn't make mistakes has a chance to win. And it really doesn't matter if one team is in it and the other one's not. It really doesn't matter because it's going to be one of those NFL hard-nosed, football games. Always has been, for the last 2 years that I've been here.
And even in a year where they're not as good as they'd like to be or they're rebuilding or whatever, boy, that defensive front's good, isn't it, Doug? They're a physical defensive football team, and the numbers show that, don't they?
They really are, and it starts with Jeffrey Simmons. He's a tremendous D tackle. He's one of the top D tackles in the NFL right now, and he's an emotional player that gets that defense going. So I feel like the strength of the defense is the front, and obviously it starts with Jeffrey Simmons and then Big Sweat next to him. I mean, this guy is a monster of a human being, and he's a load as well. But everything starts with number 98. We got to make sure we know where he lines up, whether he's at the nose, he's at the 3-tech, wherever he's at. But good, solid football player.
Doug, you talked earlier about both teams obviously now are mathematically eliminated here. What's the challenge in getting players ready? And now I think you've got a good locker room, so I don't think it's clear your team hasn't quit, or they wouldn't have turned a 23-6 game last week into a 23-20 game that they almost won. That's been the story of the season. But still, from a coach's standpoint, is there a challenge in getting guys ready? Is it a different challenge now?
It's a different mindset, but I'll tell you this, Frank, it starts with me, and I pride myself in not letting these games, go by the wayside. I pride myself in getting this team ready to go mentally and physically. But you're right. I do lean on the leadership of the team. I think we got good leadership in that locker room that, they're also going to carry the torch for me, and they're going to help me, and they're not going to let guys kind of take the easy way out or tap out or whatever it might be. And I haven't seen that this week in practice. Everybody's practiced, the ones that can, and rightfully so. So it's obviously it's a different mindset and it's a different feel, but at the same time, we have a lot to play for. They have a lot to play for, and you want to put your best foot forward in games like this.
Exactly right, and it's a great rivalry game. Titans and Jags coming up Sunday afternoon in Nashville. Doug, I appreciate it, man. Enjoy your night tonight. I'll see you on the plane tomorrow. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, thanks a lot, Frank.
All right, Doug Peterson, Jaguar coach, Jags and Titans coming up on Sunday afternoon.
We appreciate the head coach, Doug Peterson, taking time each and every Friday to join Frank Frangie on The Frangie Show. Let's speak with Frank Frangie on the other side, right here on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. He's Tommy Mack. I'm Mia O'Brien. You can interact with us on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures at 904-641-1010. You also can interact with us at the MyBookie Digital Studio. Search 1010XL on YouTube. Click at the video on the top. You'll be able to watch us live. Leave a chat as well. One former Jaguar is in the chat with us this morning, Tommy Mack.
Oh, really?
Jeremy Parnell.
Oh, yeah,
a consistent listener to the MyBookie Digital Studio. He says, Tommy, you make phenomenal videos and pockets. He wants you to lock it in. Don't hide behind that camera. So don't hide behind the camera for one, Jeremy Parnell. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Big moment. Play-by-play is full of plot twists.
Did that just happen?
And high-octane drama.
And this game is tied.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
Brotherhood of Rock. Now they celebrate 25 years. Sticks. Kevin Cronin, formerly singer of REO Speedwagon. Special guest Don Felder, formerly of the Eagles. June 2nd, Daly's Place. Tickets on sale Friday, December 13th at Ticketmaster.com. Sticks. Kevin Cronin, Don Felder, Brotherhood of Rock.
Injured in an accident that's not your fault? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan at Von Rowan Law, and over the past 20 years, I have fought to recover millions for my clients throughout Jacksonville. If you've been injured in an accident, have mounting medical bills, can't work, don't worry. Zach's got your back. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve and will be there every step of the way. Go to Zach'sGotYourBack.com to set up your free consultation with me today. Zach'sGotYourBack.com.
Hey, Jacksonville Koozies, it's me, Soccer Sam, for Salvatore's Pizza. Rochester, New York's favorite pizza is now open in Jacksonville, Florida, Tapestry Park at the Loft Hotel Plaza. Daily $10 deals, dine in with beer and wine, and delivery at Salvatores.com. The famous Formoso family brings Salvatore's Pizza, Rochester's favorite pizza, including our 32-piece sheet pizza for your next event. Go with me, baby. Salvatores.com.
It's the end of the year sale with Universal Roof and Contracting. Get 15% off all roof repairs and replacements, plus a $250 gift card for holiday shopping. With financing options as low as $150 a month, protecting your home's never been easier. Schedule your free roof inspection today. Call 855-ROOF-HELP, and this offer expires December 31st. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Oh, sports bettors. It's your boy E.T. here for MyBookie. And oh, what do we have here this weekend, friends? College football conference championship games starting Friday night all through Saturday. And that's just a warm-up. On Sunday, 1 p.m., Jacksonville traveled to Nashville to play the Titans as a 3.5-point road dog with a 39.5-point total. Kind of the same thing as last week. It's tough to bet on the home team right now, but if you did last week, you hit the backdoor cover. 4 p.m., the Seahawks take on the Cardinals in Arizona, where the Cards are a 2.5-point favorite. And Sunday night, the Bengals travel to Dallas as 5.5-point favorites. We'll take the spread all day as the Bengals are actually good on offense and they're in a must-win situation to stay in the playoff hunt. Still the best sign-up deposit bonus in the industry available to Florida bettors. What you waiting for? Sign up right now. Get a double deposit bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. That promo code is 1010XL. Make this season your winning season with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
We appreciate the voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars joining us each and every Sunday here on the Terminix Kickoff Show, even if we got to him a little bit later than previously scheduled. Frank, we had to listen to the wonderful conversation you had with Doug Peterson. Thanks again for always providing that by Renewal by Anderson each and every Friday.
Yes, well, thank you. I appreciate Doug coming on to me. Good morning to you and Tom on a chilly day here in Nashville. Hoping the Jags can get that very elusive third win.
Yeah, and speaking with a couple different Nashville stations throughout the course of this week leading up to Titans Hate Week Part 1, Frank, the sentiment was that they are in the midst of a blizzard, or at least Nashville's version of a blizzard, in that they had some sub-35-degree days, some rain throughout the week. What's the temperature and the scene looking like right now?
I think it'll be pretty nice. I'm telling you, it's been cold up here. That game in 2017, one of the coldest games. We were talking about it at dinner last night. One of the coldest games anybody can remember up here. You felt like you were in New England. So it gets cold here. It's not bad. Now it's going to rain later, but we think the rain's going to come about either in the fourth quarter or about when the game's about over. So it's going to be in the 40s, mid-40s probably, but nothing like we've had up here before. So a little overcast. Weather in the 40s, it might touch low 50s, but it's not bad. It's football weather. Like Tom will tell you that. It's football weather up there.
That's right. You can run for days in that weather. Good morning, Frank. Great to hear your voice, my man. Listen, I'm a big Hellman's Mayonnaise fan. I really am. I put it on just about every sandwich. But every time I see that commercial with Will Levis, Frank, I want to punch him right in the face and knock him out. Can we get to him today and let him feel a little, legally, of course, but let him feel some punishment from our defense? What do you think?
You know, that's the question too. Is can the defensive line has struggled, and you know that, Tom. I think one of the biggest struggles of the team has been those two defensive tackles. Devon Hamilton's not what he had been before. They're desperately trying to get him back. They're rotating the other guys. Sometimes it's Tyler Lacey. Sometimes it's Mason Smith. They've had Big O in there. And because they don't get any push up front, it's easy to chip and double the two ends. The ends are pretty good. Josh Hines, Allen, and Trayvon have played pretty well, as you know, Tom.
Yeah.
But the defensive line hadn't been great. And so getting pressure on the opposing quarterback, and you're right, it's a big part of this game because Levis has been very erratic. He's a young quarterback. He's probably the furthest behind of the four young quarterbacks in this division. Yet, like anybody else, he gains confidence if he can sit back there. So I think that's a big, big, big part of this game. Can the Jags find a way to get him off his spot? If not, look, 2 weeks ago against the Texans, he played pretty well. So he's getting better. And they know that here. So rattling a young quarterback for the Jaguars is a big part of this game.
It was a disappointing last time out for Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. They gave up 21 points in the first quarter. That's not on Will Levis entirely. He did not throw any interceptions. He did not throw his signature pick sixes. He doesn't have to be like Jameis Winston and pray for the Lord to save him from pick sixes just yet, Frank. But that certainly is the type of loss that can light a fire under a team that on the defensive side of the ball is among the best in the league. And that I know has been a talking point here in Duval throughout the week. So we'll get to that in here in just a second. But your thoughts coming out of that loss, maybe what this Tennessee Titans team is looking to prove.
They're trying to find themselves, Mia. They're like the Jags. They unlike the Jags, they expected this to be a rough go. So I don't think they're surprised. They're probably where the Jags were a few years ago. The Jags are more surprised by their difficult season, as we've had that talk on all of our shows. But the Titans are trying to find something. They're not the team they've been. It's their first year in 100 years without Derrick Henry. That changes the personality of their team a little bit. Tony Pollard's not Derrick Henry, so they're different. Calvin Ridley's there, but the receivers have been just okay. Will Levis is trying to find his way. The defense, to your point, is second-ranked defense in the league. They're really good, and they're physical. They're okay on the backside. That defensive line is fantastic. You heard Doug talk about it a minute ago. So they're trying to find themselves. So I don't know, Mia, that they respond to last week's loss or 2 weeks ago's win. You know what I mean? They're a team that's trying to find itself. There's not a lot of consistency, so you can't really predict how they're going to respond to this or that. They're grasping for another win here and another win there. They believe Levis is their guy. If they got it right, if they're right about Levis, then they're on target. and they'll be better. They'll be a 500 team next year, and in 2 years they'll be a team that'll be that hopes to go deep. If they get it wrong on Levis, then they start all over. That's the big question with this team. And even being around people last night that are around it, Mia, that's the question. Did they get it right with Levis? And everything else tends to fall into place when you do.
You know, Frank, I look at them on third down. They remind me of the 2023 Jags, where the defense was good on third down, but the offense was terrible. So every time they got you the ball back, they gave the ball back to the other offense. They've really struggled on third down. Now, we're about 45% on defense giving up. I think that could be a big part of today's game. Can we get off the field and give the ball back to Mac Jones?
Yeah, and I think a big part of that too, Tom, as you know, is first and second down.
Yep.
Teams that are bad at third down, because they're facing a lot of third and nines, right? They're throwing a lot of third and eights and third and sevens and third and tens. And again, this team never had that, Tom, because they had Derrick Henry. When you have Derrick Henry,
Right.
there's never third and nine, right? Because he gets 6 yards on first down. And so everything second and medium and third and short, well, they've had to adjust to not having that. So now their third downs are third and 8 and third and 9 and third and 11. That's why they're 28th in the league on third downs, because they haven't had a combined, again, a different personality, a team that doesn't have those third and shorts all the time, with a young quarterback trying to find his way who's been very erratic. So, no, I think I think it's a defensive game today. I think there's, again, the weather won't affect it a lot, but the Jags are playing a backup quarterback. I mean, when you're playing a backup quarterback, that affects the game. The Titans are trying to find themselves offensively. They've been up and down. They've been very good defensively. The Jags have a backup quarterback going against the second-ranked defense in the league. The Titans have an erratic quarterback. So I would expect this thing's in the teens, right? 23-20, 23-17, that kind of game today.
Frank Frangie joining us from Nashville on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. He, of course, will be on the call today between the Jaguars and the Titans at 1 o'clock from Nissan Stadium with the Hall of Famer Tony Baselli, Jeff Lageman, and Bucky Brooks. Frank, we'll hit the injury report here on the other side after we speak with you, but a quick preview. We did not see any of the Tennessee Titans who were limited or did not practice throughout the week be ruled out entirely. Roger McCreary, the star nickel corner for that number 2 ranked Tennessee Titans defense. Kenneth Murray, the linebacker, both did not practice all week. They are listed as questionable. T'Vondre Sweat, the standout rookie nose tackle, did not practice all week. He is listed as questionable. No, you don't necessarily have intel on if those players are going to play, Frank, but I'm curious, a chicken or the egg question, especially if those guys can't go. Is this Tennessee Titans defense number 2 in the National Football League because of the pass rush and because of that defensive front, or because of what defense coordinator Denard Wilson is scheming up in the back end?
Well, clearly the front, and I think Sweat's going to play. Of all the guys you mentioned, we'll see. I mean, I have heard that they expect to have Sweat today. Sweat and Simmons might be the best tackle in the league. Okay, yeah. He and Chris Jones are probably the best tackles in the league. With Aaron Donald not playing anymore, I think probably Jeffrey Simmons and Chris Jones are the best defensive tackles in the league. You got to block them with 2 guys the whole time. You have to always, like Doug said in the interview you just heard, you got to always know where they are. Well, Sweat's pretty damn good now. He's like 370 pounds. Yeah. He's today's new two-gap guy, Tom. You can't move him, you know?
Yeah.
And so those 2 guys, Mia, to your question, it's that front. And I think they're going to have Sweat. And that's the problem. When you look, it's still a league of who's the most physical team. If you had and I've said this on my show, and I've said it here, and we've said it on our broadcast. If you look back at 2-10, and why are you 2-10? Well, if you're 2-10, a lot of things went wrong. I get that. Trevor's been up and down, and now he's injured. Play calling this or that. But if you're 2-10, there's one thing, and I just don't think they've been physical in the trenches the way they thought they would be. I think that's the one thing. If you point to it, the Jags, if there had to be one thing, I don't think they've won the trenches, and I just don't think their offensive line has played great, particularly as the run blocking group, and I don't think the interior of the line has played the defensive line has played very well. So I think they're going to have those guys, Mia, to your question, at least they're going to have Sweat, and I think it's going to be a physical defensive game. I really do.
I felt the past couple of years that opposing teams that were physical took care of us pretty good, Frank. It seems to be this year as well. All right, so how does Mac Jones get it done? How does the offense get it done today? I mean, we got to do something. We got to get something going. How do you think they do that?
I would think, again, Mac needs play action and needs to run the ball. So he's not athletic like Trevor. He doesn't quite have Trevor's arm, but he's a good player.
Yeah.
I would think you see those passing plays that look like running plays, Tom, that those screens, those quick hitters, that a lot of quick game today. In today's NFL, 3rd and 2 used to be a running play. Now it's a play you'll throw it out to Evan Ingram in the flat, right? That's today's running play. I think you'll see a lot of that today. I think the Jags they want to hold the ball. That's what you want to do. They got to get their defense off the field as they try to find themselves defensively. I would think short passing game, a lot of passes, but a lot of short passes. Remember too, now you're down to your starting receivers. Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis, that's two of your starters. That's two of the guys you went all through camp in the early part of the season. Those two veterans, along with the rookie Brian Thomas Jr., were going to be your guys. Well, the two veterans are gone, so you're playing a rookie and a bunch of young guys. We heard that Josh Cephas is going to be up, it looks like. So that's another rookie who's never played in a game. Parker Washington's coming on as a player. So I would think, Tommy, a short passing game. I would think try and hold the ball, take a few shots down the field, but not as many shots as I think you would take if Trevor was playing.
I would go back to what Frank said off the top there, Tommy. Run the ball to set up play action for Mac Jones. The Jaguars ran the ball just 21 times last week, and that included the jet sweep by Brian Thomas Jr. for 11 yards. Now, granted, situationally, the Jags were playing from behind. The Texans also ran the ball, designed runs just 20 times, but I would love to see more running of the football, regardless of how physical the Jaguars may be in the trenches, because they've proved that they can run the ball if they choose to run the ball. Frank, with that said, let's hit it. Your X factors before we let you go on the Garber Automall hotline for both the Jaguars and the Titans in today's matchup.
I'm going to go back to Parker Washington because I think he's starting to come on, and I think there's different things you can do with him. I think, we saw him as just a slot guy, the backup to Christian Kirk. Well, he can play outside, and we're seeing that he can do a lot of different things. So I think he's suddenly become a pretty good slot guy, and I think So I would say Parker Washington. As for the Titans, look, I could pick those great defensive players. They're a really good defensive team, but it's got to be Levis, doesn't it? I mean, if Levis plays well, then the Titans are going to beat the Jags. If you can get him off his spot, if he can be erratic the way he has been, then you got a chance to beat them. You're playing with a backup quarterback. You can't let their quarterback go nuts. So I would say Parker Washington and the things he can do. If 11's got a bunch of catches, I think that helps the Jags. If Will Levis has a very good game for the Titans, they're going to beat Jacksonville. That's okay. I don't want to oversimplify it, Mia, but I think it's that simple. I really do.
Man, oh man, second straight week, Tommy Mac, that I think Frank Frangie has looked ahead on the rundown. I don't even send him the rundown ahead of time. He has my X Factor as his X Factor as well. Frank, thanks so much for joining us. Have a good time. Stay warm up there at Nissan Stadium a little bit later this afternoon.
Okay, man. Tom, I will. Take care.
There he goes again. Frank Frangie, the play-by-play voice for your Jacksonville Jaguars. He will be on the call right here on the Superstation with the Hall of Famer Tony Pacelli, Jeff Lageman, and Bucky Brooks. That game, of course, kicks off 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, not to spoil it, but yes, Parker Washington going to make an appearance on the other side, as I know he's my X Factor. A couple stats I want to hit there, as well as the Farrah and Farrah injury report. A whole heck of a lot to still do here on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade.
More Jaguars, more prep sports, more Gators, more Knowles, more Dogs, more golf. Plus original podcasts from your favorite 1010XL personalities. 1010XL.com.
Imagine a place where the sun is always shining, the drinks are ice cold, and the food is bursting with flavor. Welcome to Hurricane Grill and Wings, where locals and visitors alike gather to weather this storm we call life. And you can escape here anytime you like. Today's forecast, hot, crispy wings with a 100% chance of frothy beers. Later, we're predicting big burgers and seafood tacos moving in. Escape the ordinary. HurricaneWings.com.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Being an athlete means having a healthy desire to do as much as you can with your body, for as long as you can. Gatorade has lower sugar, electrolyte-backed hydration options to keep you rehydrated and replenished. Gatorade, for every athlete.
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
Welcome to Rockville, North America.
America's largest rock festival returns to the Daytona International Speedway in 2025 with Green Day, Korn, Shinedown, and Linkin Park. Plus, Bad Omens, Incubus, Good Charlotte, Rob Zombie, Alice in Chains, Pierce the Veil, Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Sublime, Hailstorm, I Prevail, Three Doors Down, Jimmy Eat World, Motionless in White, Bush, Chevelle, Mudvayne, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville takes over the Daytona International Speedway May 15th to the 18th, 2025. 5 stages, 4 days, and over 150 bands. 4-day, single-day camping and VIP passes on sale now at welcometorockville.com.
Keeping up with Seminole Nation.
Join the Noles and their road to repeat as ACC champs.
Stay close to the Seminoles with the Florida State Seminole Report. Brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team on 1010XL.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Hey gang, Dan Hicken here for America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 10 million active members. It's PrizePicks. First things first, download the app today and use code JAX, that's JAX, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download that app today, use code JAX, $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. How to play? All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, like, is Jared Goff going to throw for more than 230 passing yards? Will Saquon Barkley have more than 1 touchdown? Will Travis Kelce have less than 70 receiving yards? You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, which they usually do, I get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. PrizePicks also now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals. PrizePicks, run your game.
It all begins with Speed Weeks, presented by Advent Health, and the running of the Daytona 500, February 12th through 16th. For ticket information, log on to Daytona500.com. Or you can answer this question right now for a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Daytona 500. Who has led the most laps in a single Daytona 500? Text the driver's last name to 641-1010 for your chance to win now.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. The personal injury attorneys of Farah & Farah present this injury update. Farah & Farah. Jacksonville. Exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We hit a couple of these on the Tennessee side of things with our friend Frank Frangie, who just joined us on the Garber Automall hotline here on the Terminix Kickoff Show. Let's hit the Jaguars injury report first, Tommy Mack, beginning with the specialists. Both Ross Matisic and Logan Cook did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday. Logan Cook officially did not practice on Friday. Ross Matisic, the long snapper, listed as limited. Both are questionable heading into today's game.
Man, those are our 2 best players.
The argument can certainly be made.
I mean, right, that Ross Matisic, man, he gets down the field. I know he played linebacker in college. Man, he must have been a good linebacker because he's got a good nose for the ball.
Officially listed as a hamstring injury for Ross, a left knee injury for Logan Cook. So I'll be curious to see if those two can indeed go. They were at practice, but working off to the side and or not with pads on. And
put some foil on
around. We'll see.
Hamstrings are tough, but you got to know what the knee is. I don't know what it is.
The team did sign a long snapper in Tucker Addington to the practice squad. They added Matt Hawk. We had that discussion at practice earlier this week. Is it Hack? Is it Hawk? It's Hawk, reportedly.
Just punt the ball good.
Per the team, who were signed to the practice squad and could, I guess they're not being elevated. So I guess the expectation is that Logan and Ross are expected to go. Yasir Abdullah, who has missed each of the last 2 games with a hamstring injury of his own, listed as questionable. Tyson Campbell, who suffered that thigh injury last week against the Houston Texans, did not practice Wednesday, was limited Thursday and Friday. He is also listed as questionable for today's game. But as we alluded to, Joshua Cephas, the only player who is elevated off the practice squad.
Right.
But at the same time, let it be known that your punter and your long snapper, who many believe are your 2 best players when all is said and done, are fighting some nagging injuries.
Yeah, and those hamstrings can be a problem. I will say with Cephas and these other wideouts, I know Frank mentioned Gabe not being there and Kirk, but these are the guys that Mac's been throwing to in practice all season long, the backups. You know what I mean? So he definitely's got a chemistry with Parker. And you see that, right? He definitely, should have chemistry with Strange because he's throwing to him in practice a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you get used to guys who you're throwing to during the week. Now, as a starter, he's throwing to the starters. But I think he's capable of running the offense. You got to protect him like any other QB, and you do need a running game to balance it off, and hopefully you can catch him off balance a little bit. When you start moving the ball down the field.
I know I spoke with Parker before the Minnesota Vikings game, and that was, of course, going to be Mac Jones' first start, and Parker's face just lit up when you asked him about Mac Jones. I think you could say the same for a lot of guys in that locker room because of the juice that he brings to practice, because of how goofy he is, but also, as more than one player told us this week, and you'll hear from one of them here in just a bit, in Walker Little, the fire that Mac brings, too, where he says, hey, let's get serious, let's focus. Not that Trevor doesn't bring that, but to see your backup quarterback step in and be that way, Tommy, is a little bit rare in this league.
Yeah, but look, he's been a starter, too, you know what I mean? So he's just a backup because he's here in Jacksonville, at least for, the time being in his career. We'll see what happens to him after this season, but they should feel confident with him. He can throw the ball. He's got a big enough arm. He's not as, he doesn't have all the physical tools that Trevor does. But I know Doug made a comment I found interesting. He said he sees the field very well, and that's a good thing. So, let's see if they can get him going. I thought, again, the second half, that second touchdown drive was pretty impressive overall. I thought he made some good throws, made some good plays. They had good balance, and we got to have that today. I tell you what, you talk about the running game and also the passing game. I want to see Tank more in the running game. And can we get Travis like one-on-one with a backer or a safety or a nickel and let him option him? Go in, go out, go up the field. I mean, he is a weapon and a half in that passing game, and we never hardly ever see them utilize him that
Stick a pin in that, Tommy, because we are going to hit our X factors once we wrap up the injury report. Perhaps that will be your X factor for today's matchup. We mentioned 3 of the 7 Titans who are listed as questionable for today's game. All 3 starters in the nickel corner: Roger McCreary, the linebacker Kenneth Murray, and nose tackle Devondre Sweat. Those 3 listed as questionable, as is linebacker James Williams, tackle Leroy Watson. An interesting one in speaking with Tennessee media this week, Chidobe Awuzie, the corner who they brought in this offseason, who has not played in quite some time. He could potentially return. He is listed as Chidobe has no injury designation. He is expected to return. The linebacker Jerome Baker, another linebacker for this Titans team, listed as questionable, and ditto to the standout rookie corner Jarvis Brownlee, the day 3 pick out of Louisville.
Yeah, they're banged up a little bit. They still got their main cogs out there, though, that you're going to have to block. Speaking of Walker Little, great job last week. It was his first start this year or since signing the deal. And he's the guy. I want to see that week after week after week. Arden Key, Harold Landry, they can rush the passer. Which means when you got a presence like Simmons, they're more concerned about doubling Simmons than helping your butt on the outside. So you better be on your P's and Q's today. Should be a good place to watch, some one-on-one battles at those tackle positions.
Our listeners on the MyBookie Digital Studio that are in the chat want you to speak a little bit more on Walker Little, so we will get to that in hour number 2. So we'll stick a pin in that as well. 2 other players who are on the injury report for the Titans and have been ruled out of this game. Tackle Jalen Duncan, guard Logan Bruce. We have barely talked about the Titans' offensive line, I feel like, Tommy, and that has certainly been a deficiency. Brian Callahan knew, and that's part of why he brought his father, the godfather of offensive line coaches, to Nashville, because he knew that was going to be perhaps his biggest challenge outside of developing Will Levis once he arrived in Nashville.
I tell you what, they've given up like 43 sacks, And by the way, you know how much, our O-line at 24.
I know.
So our O-line,
we give them a lot of flack.
Yeah, but they're
they
pretty
protect
darn
the quarterback
good in that regard, and yards per carry is like 4.5.
I can't wait for those of you to say, well, sacks are a quarterback stat. Yes, the same people that want to, of course, call out Trevor Lawrence at every turn, but
no, it's all O-line. Yeah, I always look at that. And I do. That's a stat I always look at because I want to see where they're at the year. And you're seeing a lot of teams' offensive lines giving up 40-plus sacks, but we're still at 24, man. So got to give them credit there. But we should be able to get after Levis today. I mean, look, Tony Pollard can hit the home run, but he's not going to bruise you. They're going to try to pound the rock because we know, especially on the inside of that ball, and especially if 91 continues to be a selfish player and want to only play end. Way to go, team player. I want you on my team. Not, but anyway, hopefully he is inside and we'll have a chance there. But I tell you what, they should be licking their chops up front because this offensive line does give up a lot of hits, does give up a lot of pressures and sacks. So let's take advantage of that and see what we're made of.
That's the Farrah injury update. Let's hit our X factors for today's game, Pockets. Frank Frangie already stole my thunder a little bit, but I will provide you this stat. Tommy, you mentioned Brenton Strange has a career day against the Green Bay Packers, and then he played 9 snaps against the Philadelphia Eagles. That was not the only malpractice we saw, though. Christian Kirk went down for the season in that loss to the Green Bay Packers. The next week, Parker Washington, 0 targets. We cannot see that this Sunday against the Tennessee Titans, knowing the Jaguars without Gabe Davis, without Christian Kirk, and with Parker Washington now the most veteran wide receiver on this active roster. Press Taylor earlier this week on the second-year wideout from Penn State.
Yeah, he's done a great job. And, it's just kind of the comfort guy in year 2. I think the coolest thing is, how he's grown as a receiver outside. He had a lot of wins in third down situations, 2-minute situations where he was one-on-one outside on a corner. Did a great job getting himself open, making plays. We certainly know he's capable of carrying the ball. I mean, as a punt returner, you saw that in even New England and things like that. So when he gets in space, he's tough to tackle. But he's done a good job of just winning within the structure of the scheme. The routes we ask, everybody makes routes their own. And so we've kind of honed in on things that we think he does well, that he's very comfortable with. The quarterbacks are comfortable with him running. So.
Yeah, no, Parker's done a great job, man. I'll tell you what, last year I didn't think that much of him. I thought he was okay. But you can tell that's a guy that's been working on his craft, working on his route running, working on his quicks, working on his speed. And I love Captain Kirk. I'm sorry he's hurt, but Parker may be the guy that ends up taking his spot. Gabe, God bless him, man, but I thought we were going to get so much more out of Gabe. I mean, so much more out of Gabe. And to me, it's like missing him is, no disrespect, but kind of a non-factor. I don't even factor him in. I don't think he had that much of an impact. I don't think he had hardly any impact, to be honest with you. So I'm not worried about that. I think who they have out there, as long as, they keep Matt clean, they'll have a shot to move the ball a little bit.
And, hey, we didn't even mention Josh Reynolds claimed off waivers from the Denver Broncos. I was at practice on Thursday, Tommy, and already he had been here less than 24 hours, and he was the de facto number 3 wide receiver, at least as they were going through drills. Who is your X factor for today's game between the Jaguars and the Titans?
I'm going to go Walker Little. He got his contract. He played well last week. But I think I need to see a lot more out of him. I need to see that goes for the whole team, but consistent play. Look, I think he had a lot of juice last week. I'm sure his adrenaline was rushing because he just signed the deal and he wanted to prove himself. Let's see that fire. Let's see that play again today. And we need you. That left tackle. Let's show that you're the guy. I still question if I'm not saying their perception. My perception, I don't know if I can count on him week after week after left tackle. However, He's got 5 more weeks to show that he can do that, and maybe they don't have to worry about that in the off season, which would be great.
His pressure percentage allowed, according to PFF, has significantly declined each year he's been in the NFL. A 10.1% in 2022, 6.3% in 23, 4.3%, albeit in somewhat limited action here in 2024.
Well, look, giving up pressures is subjective. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't always go by those. I go by what you see. Look, he'll block really well for 85, 90% of the time, but just like his predecessor in Cam, give up that bad sack at the wrong time, at the wrong part of the game. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
That's what Leon Searcy echoed on Duval Rundown, which, of course, is available on our 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel as well as our 1010XL podcast network.
Yep.
He said he would grade both Walker Little and Anton Harrison as serviceable this year.
Yep.
75% of the time, passing grade.
Yep.
25% of the time, that's where it gets a little questionable. I do want to hit, and this isn't necessarily an X factor, Tommy.
Yep.
I do want to hear from Jarian Jones. I want to put a bow on our conversation regarding last week, the 23-20 loss to the Houston Texans, but also the fight that ensued between the Jaguars and the Texans after Azeez Al-Shaair's significant hit on Trevor Lawrence. Jarian Jones was the only other player ejected besides Azeez Al-Shaair from that game because he threw a punch. Here he is in the locker room earlier this week about his role in the fight and his thoughts 72 hours removed.
D'Amico Ryans, he felt like you guys overreacted. Is that how you think any team would have reacted to their quarterback getting hit like that?
I don't even want to talk about that guy.
How much does the whole Sunday still bother you? Just from the hit to the melees to the loss?
I mean, the hit is one thing, the melee is one thing, but, I was kind of brought here to win. I want to win. I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of, dawning on me. I want to win.
Has it been a challenging few days? I mean, dealing with something you probably haven't had to deal with before, the ejection, whatever the fine letter is about to come, the noise.
Mm-hmm. No, that don't really bother me. Ejection, I mean, obviously you want to play, you want to finish the game. That's one of those things, but, like I said again, I would do it again for any of the 70 other guys that make up this organization. I just can't get ejected in that moment.
And I bring that soundbite to the table, Tommy, because I told you I had one last overarching question for you in the fallout, in the aftermath of last week's game before we completely put it in the past. We move into hour number 2 of the Terminix Kickoff Show. The fallout from that fight, whether it was the question of why did we not see retaliation in the second half, even if that was just perhaps, finishing a block a little bit harder than you otherwise would. The critiques and criticism from around not only the league, but from former Jaguar players, including our friend Bucky Brooks, our friend Tony Baselli, Doug Peterson defending the idea of we will not coach our players to go after guys. And I agree with that. I understand from Doug's perspective.
Not illegally.
Right, correct. But the idea of, as Bucky put it on X, the idea of the franchise quarterback was knocked out and it was handled with a collective shrug. That's what Bucky posted on X earlier this week. I don't know if it was a collective shrug because, again, Jarian Jones threw a punch. So I don't think it was a matter of, well, Trevor's okay and we just keep moving on. But I ask you this. Is this conversation actually a microcosm of the larger conversation about this team's lack of an identity and lack of some sort of alpha energy in the building?
Well, yeah. I mean, they don't have it under Doug Peterson, and they haven't had it under him. I really, truly believe that Doug's just an X's and O's guy, and he puts it on paper and expects it to work on the field. But he takes the human element out of it. You know what I mean? Like being aggressive and being physical and not making same mistakes. You know what I mean? He thinks it's just going to work itself out, where it doesn't always work itself out, as we know. So, yeah, I mean, and don't mistake fight for lack of trying. Because I think they've tried. I don't think they've laid down for anybody. I don't think, maybe Detroit a little bit. They were just waiting for that game to be over. That's a tough one at 52-6.
You allow the opposition to score 5 straight touchdowns and go up and down the field. I would think that's a little defeating morally.
Yeah. But look, I just even after the big melee, that next drive was great. Granted, the halftime happened, but where was the fire in the second? You'd still be pissed off. Listen, I'll tell you this. First of all, if they hit Brunell like that, our offensive line, they would have handled it. It wouldn't even have made it to the sideline. This whole get them to your side. They wouldn't have needed us. They would have just handled it right there, and everybody else would have handled it right then and there. But you got to have that fight. They haven't that fire, where you really do want to put that extra hard lick on your opponent because they just took out your QB. You really do want to drive that guy into the dirt because he's part of the team that just nearly killed your quarterback.
Let me ask you this question, too, before we head into hour number 2 of the show, Tommy. I've been critical here on the Superstation, but with an eye of, hey, this is a good thing, but could it be viewed as a bad thing? The fact that Ventrell Miller, Tank Bigsby, Jarian Jones, you could argue those 3 young players, in terms of being rah-rah in-your-face vocal leaders, they are number 1, number 2, and number 3 over the last month and a half for this team. Ventrell Miller and Tank Bigsby, more times than not, have been the 2 players that have broken down the huddle for this Jaguars team pregame. Is that a good or a bad thing?
It's good and bad. Because I like that because they're guys that are making plays. You can't be vocal if you're not making plays. And both Tank and Ventrell have been very good this year. There's no doubt about it. I throw Strange into that mix. I don't know how vocal he is, but
he's growing in his role.
I like this core of he shows it in his play. He's a very violent blocker, very physical. You saw what he did with the fight. So, the bad thing is you'd like to see more of your veterans do that. But the good thing is, hey, these young guys are getting it. They understand what it does take each and every week, and that's a good thing. You need more of those kind of guys, I think, in that locker room to really build around. But that's a solid core. Those 4 right there, that's a solid core. And there's more, but that's a solid core. So I think it's good in that sense.
Let's keep it rolling. Hour number 2 of the Terminix Kickoff Show with Tommy Mack, Mia O'Brien continues here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Our keys to the game brought to you by Instant Keys come up next. Be sure to hit us up at the MyBookie Digital Studio on YouTube. Leave us a chat. Leave us a comment. You also, of course, can interact with us on X at Meathead55 for Tommy, at Mia O'Brien TV for me. And the text line, Design My Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Welcome to Rockville. North America's largest rock festival returns to the Daytona International Speedway in 2025 with Green Day, Korn, Shinedown, and Linkin Park. Plus, Bad Omens, Incubus, Good Charlotte, Rob Zombie, Alice in Chains, Pierce the Veil, Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Sublime, Hailstorm, I Prevail, Three Doors Down, Jimmy Eat World, Motionless in White, Bush, Chevelle, Mudvayne, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville takes over the Daytona International Speedway May 15th to the 18th, 2025. 5 stages, 4 days, and over 150 bands. 4-day, single-day camping and VIP passes on sale now at welcometorockville.com.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Pro-Jax Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projaxroofingfl.com.
This college football season, we're celebrating more than touchdowns. It's time to honor playmakers of the classroom. Thanks to FIS and the College Football Playoff Foundation, Gator Bowl Charities is surprising 16 local teachers with $1,000 each week. Every honored teacher gets a special invitation to the Taxpayer Gator Bowl January 2nd to be celebrated on the field. Teachers from Clay, Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns County, grades K through 12 are eligible. Nominate a deserving teacher today and let's score big for education at taxpayergatorbowl.com.
This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM and FM. Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL. Home sweet home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Is
your AC ready for the holidays? Bold City Heating and Air ensures your AC stays in tip-top shape. We know that a clean AC is a healthy AC. Upgrade yours for just $96 a month and enjoy free duct cleanings with your new system. Plus, ask about our 0% financing options.
Bold City AC. We got the crew. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
Go inside the huddle with our QB, David Garrard.
Hey, I know if you give me time, baby, we can do whatever we want.
And get into the head of an NFL signal caller. Mondays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Brought to you by WaterboyJax.com on 1010XL.
Hey, y'all. Melissa Scobie here. And you know my husband, Josh, could really kick that ball. But when it comes to working around the house, well, not so much. So when I need irrigation, drainage, or seamless gutters, I rely on John Haney's crews at Clearwater. Hit it, guys.
Clearwater Irrigation.
And drainage, too.
ClearwaterJax.com.
Everything about the game has changed, except for the most important thing. What you have inside. It is what drives the game. It refuses to be ignored. It sweats everything, turns an athlete into a legend. Gatorade, is it in you?
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now the keys to the game. Brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, professional, honest locksmith service.
Jaguars and the Titans coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time from Nissan Stadium. We will hear from our good friend Hayes Carlyon from Nashville. Boots on the ground coming up here momentarily on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. But first, our keys to the game, brought to you by Instant Keys. We already discussed with Frank Frangie, the voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars, the Titans defense, currently ranked the #1 passing defense in the National Football League, #2 overall, if only in terms of yards allowed per game. I can't help but feel like that chicken or the egg question, Dylan Denmark, is going to be asked here today, especially if Tavondre Sweat, the nose tackle for the Titans, is to be healthy and effective. Let's begin with that defensive front. I know Frank Frangie said, Tommy Mack, that he believes that it is the defense that is the key to the cog in the Titans' defensive machine.
One of the best we're going to see all year, quite frankly. They're big. They're powerful. The two tackles, Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best tackles in the NFL. Sweat's another one it's a rookie, but he's learning. He's a load. And we know Arden is a very athletic and speed rusher and plays with a lot of energy. But this front is going to be one of the better ones we've seen.
And I've brought it up multiple times, not just on Helmets and Heels during the week, Tommy, but also on the Duval Rundown podcast, available on the 1010XL Jaguars and 1010XL Podcast Network. when you look at the Titans depth chart in the secondary, I mean, the biggest marquee name of players who has been healthy the bulk of the season is Amani Hooker.
Yep.
And not only was he a diamond in the rough, of course, he played at Iowa, so that's why I'm familiar with him, and probably an underrated safety. But aside from that, with L'Jarius Sneed on IR, Quandre Diggs on IR, Roger McCreary, as we noted, is banged up. They said goodbye to Jamal Adams after signing him in the offseason.
Right.
The rookie Jarvis Brownlee has been a revelation of sorts, but it's not like they have this murderer's row in the secondary. So that's where I do think Frank is on to something, that it is the front that is carrying the defense as a whole.
And what does that show you? If you have the front, you can handle a lot of things. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect on the back end.
Because the communication has to be there on the back end.
Absolutely. You got to know what you're doing. But when you can pressure consistently, it just screws everything up, and it helps your defensive backs out so much. So now you could have shutdown corners, but I don't know who has those anymore. That can help your defensive front.
Or has two of them.
Yeah, or has two of them.
That's the thing. Is like you can get by with having a quote-unquote number one alpha corner.
Right.
But you can get by then having the corner opposite them being quote-unquote serviceable.
That's right. Or better than serviceable.
As long as
we had in the past.
Correct. As long as the communication and the scheme is sound and everyone knows where they're supposed to be.
Here we go. Back to the scheme. Like, the scheme's supposed to be one thing, and it's not. It's the opposite.
Is that one of your keys to the game? Is can this Jaguars defense actually communicate and follow out and carry out a game plan?
How about a key of just keep your starters in on defense and don't take them out unless they're really, really, really tired. Other than that, keep them in there.
Love it.
That's a key for me.
On the subject of the Titans secondary, Doug Peterson commented on that on Wednesday about their effectiveness.
It's a zone scheme. You know, a lot of, until you get to third down, they'll make some man coverages on third, but really all eyes on the quarterback, all eyes on the football. They do a great job of just kind of being where they need to be. But again, it starts up front. They're very disruptive up front. You know, Landry's another one that can get after the passer. They can play with 5 down. They can play with 4 down, mix their fronts, pressures, timely pressures. And it just disrupts the timing of the quarterback receiver. And that's what they do well.
Yeah. So when you're playing zone, if that quarterback can sit back, he's going to find the hole in the zone. I don't care what zone you're playing.
As long as he has the time.
As long as he's got the time. It's pitch and catch because you're passing guys off. You're not staying on him in your zone. If he goes inside, you let him go. Well, he could be wide open and no pressure, no problem. I just hit the receiver. But when you get pressure, now that's what Doug's talking about. It speeds everything up. The timing's off, everything's off. So if you're going to play zone like we have, you better have consistent pressure, which we don't have. So why are we playing zone, Ryan? I don't understand any of it. I don't understand his whole anything, especially the rotation. I don't get it. Look, I was a backup and a starter, so I know the difference. Backups are great. You got to fill the void when you're asked, but to take your starters out to give your backups a series, like a full 1 or 2, like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? They're backups for a reason. Your starters are your starters for a reason. So play the best players that are out there, and that's your starting 11.
Speaking of Ryan Nielsen and one of those quote-unquote best players on this roster, one of those pillars, Nielsen commented on Thursday on Josh Hines-Allen's season so far.
He's affecting the quarterback. He's still rushing the way, you know, you're seeing a little bit more power out of him. I think that's the difference in the 2 years. You're seeing a little bit more power. He's a little bit bigger, using his, you know, going through the guy instead of so much around him. You know, and then he's still doing a good job in the pass rush games and things like that. So his effects are there. It's just the production and, you know, getting them down is, you know, and he's working on it. It's not anything like we're stressing out or anything about it, you know, because he is affecting the passer.
And look, a lot will be made about the final sack number tally between Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker and who has more. And, you paid Josh Hines-Allen, but does he get to double-digit sacks? He is 4.5 away from breaking the Jaguars' career sack record. Okay. And a lot will be made about that over the next 5 weeks. But for me, Tommy, the bigger stat is when you look at this Jaguars defense as a whole.
Yeah.
Why is it that Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker are accounting for more than 75% of the sacks? That is more of a glaring issue than how many sacks did these two individual players have this year.
Yeah. I think was it last week? I think it was last week. I said, who's third on the team in sacks?
Yeah, I've got the number in front of me if you're ready.
Is it it was Roy Robertson Harris at the time, and he hadn't been on our team. And
it is still Roy Robertson Harris.
Is it with 2?
Yes.
So it's terrible. With 2.
Yep.
So that means everybody else just has 1.
Trayvon Walker has 8.5. Josh Hines Allen has 6. Yeah. Roy Robertson Harris, who is no longer with the Jaguars, had 2 before he departed. Yeah. That 14.5 number for the Jaguars between Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, that's 14.5 of their 23 total sacks, which if you subtract the 2 from Roy, that means 6.5 sacks between the rest of the roster.
Again. And here's when Josh is really effective. When Armstead's playing next to him, inside. I mean, that even last week you saw that great rush and Mason even got in on it late. And even those 4 were on the field, and it was fantastic. And both Josh Hines Allen and Eric beat their guy, and Josh got the sack. But Eric was a big part of that.
I'm glad you brought up Mason Smith, our friend, former Jaguar Jeremy Parnell. I'm not sure if he's still in the MyBookie Digital Studio chat. He was one of the first to join on YouTube this morning, and we thank Jeremy for that. And all of you who are currently watching on YouTube, Facebook, and X. He asked, why hasn't Jordan Jefferson played in the interior with Mason Smith? He says he thought both of them have looked solid at times. And so, again, if your problem is your interior generating some sort of push to help those 2 pillars on the outside, why are you not consistently going to those pieces?
No, agreed. And why? Because they're young. You don't know what you have out of them yet. You know what you got out of Ledbetter, out of Lacey, and out of Hamilton. They're fine. They're just not dominating first team starters. They're not. They're good on a spell. Hamilton will make a play. Ledbetter will make a play. I'm not saying they don't make plays, but they don't make enough plays to where you would want them. So why wouldn't you put Mason Smith and Jordan Jefferson out there together, or get Jefferson next to Eric or whatever, rotate that in, because you don't know what you have. You already know what you got out of the 3 guys I mentioned prior. So you don't know you got out of those young guys. I want to see more of those.
It's going to be curious to see when the inactives are released at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, 90 minutes before kickoff. Who is active, who is inactive, because that has been a part of this too, has been the numbers game of how can you get a lot of these young players to get a jersey on game day, but also still have those veterans also available.
You're 2-10. Get the young guys. You already know what you got out of those guys. So take one of them and have them take the day off. And let's see these young guys, get in there and see if they can make it better up front.
Those are our keys to the game, brought to you by Instant Keys. When we return, we will say hello to our friend and co-host, Hayes Carlion, who is live up in Nash Vegas and will be boots on the ground for 1010XL for today's game between the Jaguars and the Titans. Of course, you can hear that game right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM coming up at 1 p.m. The Terminix Kickoff Show with Tommy Mack, Mia O'Brien rolls on right after this.
There are 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and Jags football.
To the 5, into the end zone, touchdown!
Jaguar football lives here. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Bull riding, the perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the Michelob Ultra PBR Jacksonville at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, February 22nd and 23rd. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Here in North Florida, you know that when temperatures go up and your AC goes out, you need help now. Like right now. Like lickety-split. So why not call Lickety Split and get same-day emergency service for your AC? Now, I bet you've seen their trucks all over town because they've got dozens of certified technicians ready to repair not only your AC, but your home's plumbing and electrical too. So when you want it done right and you need it done right now, call Lickety Split, AC, Plumbing, and Electric.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Franchi Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. Since 1928, people have admired diamond solitaire necklaces and ear studs that we've hand-selected and put together because of the way they dance and sparkle on a lady's neck or ear. And now, through Christmas, Underwoods is putting all of our diamond solitaire necklaces and ear studs on sale at 15% below our everyday price. We also take trade-ins on these pieces of jewelry, so if you're thinking about growing a diamond solitaire necklace or a pair of diamond studs up to a larger size, this is the ideal time to come see us. To give an example, we normally sell our 1-carat total weight diamond stud earrings for $2,600, but right now they're on sale for $2,210. Our diamond solitaire necklaces are priced the same way, with sizes from 1/5 carat total weight up to 7 carats total weight. So if you need a gift that says forever, make it an Underwood diamond solitaire necklace or a pair of diamond stud earrings.
Underwoods in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Hi, I'm Chuck Farah. We know how important it is for you to have a vehicle after you've been injured in a car accident. So when we represent you for your personal injury claim, we'll help you get a rental car from the insurance company while your car is being repaired. And we'll provide this service at no additional fee. If you're hurt and you've got no car, let my team go to work for you. Farah & Farah, protecting you and your family. Call us at 396-5555 or go to farahandfarah.com. Jacksonville.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
Welcome to Rockville. North America's largest rock festival returns to the Daytona International Speedway in 2025 with Green Day, Korn, Shinedown, and Linkin Park. Plus Bad Omens, Incubus, Good Charlotte, Rob Zombie, Alice in Chains, Pierce the Veil, Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Sublime, Hailstorm, I Prevail, Three Doors Down, Jimmy Eat World, Motionless in White, Bush, Chevelle, Mudvayne, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville takes over the Daytona International Speedway May 15th to the 18th, 2025. 5 stages, 4 days, and over 150 bands. 4-day, single-day camping and VIP passes on sale now at welcometoRockville.com.
XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now let's go behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Per some other boots on the ground, our friend Cap from Bold City Brigade, which if you're listening from Nashville, I know the boys of BCB are going to have a nice party going at Barstool Nashville on Broadway starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, or 10 a.m. Central Time, I guess I should say.
Okay.
So make sure if you're up in Nashville and you're listening to the Terminix Kickoff Show with Tommy Mac, Mia O'Brien, you slide through there before you head to Jaguars Titans at Nissan Stadium. I know that's where Hayes Carlyon is obviously headed before he begins his patrol as our boots on the ground up there. But I know Hayes Carlyon, that Cap tweeted yesterday afternoon, that he had just 36 people on his flight from Jacksonville to Nashville, and he thinks he was the only one actually going to this game.
Really?
What were the travels like for you getting up to Tennessee yesterday afternoon?
That's interesting. So we came in on Friday night, and it was a lot of Jaguar fans on our plane.
Good.
So maybe they got a little jump to enjoy Nashville on Friday and Saturday night. So yeah, we had a good Jaguars contingent on our flight up. So we'll see how it goes today. Yesterday, kind of being around Broadway for a lot of the day and night, I would say that we saw a decent amount of Jaguars fans, and certainly not to the level of of earlier in the season, which you would expect. But yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if you don't see some teal and black in the stadium today.
That's why I was so curious, because Tommy Mack and I were sitting here discussing the nature of this juncture of the season, Hayes, with the Jaguars mathematically eliminated from the postseason. Certainly, Nashville is a fun destination. People buy tickets well in advance for travel, for hotels, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of that sense of, hey, are we going for the party? Are we going for the show?
Yep.
What is the show going to be the next 5 weeks, let alone moving into the offseason? I'm curious your thoughts engaging where the sentiment around this franchise is right now.
Well, if I had a gong, I'd hit it and end the season now. But I don't. And so we do have to play 5 more of these things. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad show. It's been a bad show. It's going to continue to be a bad show in terms of how they perform on the field. I wouldn't blame any Jaguar fan that, had, to your point, intentions of enjoying the game when they booked this trip and now is looking at it and saying, you know what, maybe we'll just enjoy another day on Broadway because it's going to be an ugly football game. And if the Titans play well, the Jaguars will get routed. The Jaguars can win a close game because both these teams are poor, and the Titans may play, a bad game. But yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think the Jaguars have much hope here in terms of looking like, a pristine unit. I mean, I think that ship has sailed. I think you can absolutely question the passion and energy and enthusiasm that they have, coaching staff included. And so I think we're in for a very ugly football game. This is going to test the diehards. If you're in that stadium today sporting Jaguars gear, then you deserve to take a bow. And this franchise doesn't deserve you because they just haven't lived up to it.
Hayes, that's great, man. That's fantastic. I tell you what. It sounds like watching the game from a local establishment up there might be the way to go. Now, I notice you and Mia, when you're at home doing this show, you guys pound some booze or something at the end of it or at some point.
Yeah, they didn't give you booze?
I don't got nothing. I got my own water, which is fine.
We need a little liquid courage with the Jaguars
I think
on
the
that
Jags
5-game
need
snide.
Maybe give them some shots of whiskey or something. That'll get them going. But
yeah, it couldn't hurt.
What's your drink of choice this morning, my friend? What are you doing up there in Nashville?
The drink of choice this morning is just some straight up water and hydration. So and I'll get some
good night last night.
Good. But yeah, I'm on the straight and narrow today. But I'd love to be there with you guys drinking some of that brackish vodka.
There you go. All right. So Hayes, I mean, look, man, is there still that fire for Jags and Titans? From a Jaguar perspective. I mean, look, they're both not very good, as you noted, and we all know. But do they still have that hatred as a team, if you will, quote unquote?
It's a great question, Tommy. I think that I don't think they do. I mean, they've shown me no sign of emotion at all. And, I thought the second half against Houston on, last Sunday was frankly an embarrassment, in terms of how they, basically played like, Trevor Lawrence didn't get cheap shotted. I mean, I commend Evan Ingram and Jarian Jones,
sure.
Brenton Strange, and Mason Smith and Anton Harrison and Sheriff and the guys that initially made it clear that they were not happy with it. But then, to come out in the second half and, you would have never known that blatant cheap shot occurred in the first half on Trevor Lawrence. And so I don't think the fire's been there all year, really since. I mean, other than their first 40 minutes of the season, where I thought when they were up on Miami, I'm sitting here thinking, boy, this team looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then Etienne fumbles, and I'm not putting it all on one play because that's absurd to think a professional football team, any football team, could fall apart on a single mistake. But I mean, the facts are, since that play, they just fell apart, and Doug Peterson's had no answers. and the players themselves. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's any level of pride. And so it's hard for me to believe that now mathematically out of it, we're going to see passion on the field and enthusiasm on the field. Now they're playing some bad teams here to close it out. So I'm not saying they won't get a win here or there, and they may win today, but I don't think it's going to be because, they galvanized and gelled or anything like that. Or, I think that ship is long since sailed. I mean, how you could not show up on Monday Night Football at Buffalo in week 3 and then turn around and hand the game away to Houston in week 4. I mean, to me, this season was lost in September. And it was clear in September that this was on its way to being a really bad year. And unfortunately, that's how it's played out. And, and here we are. So, I mean, again, I'm sure there'll be some good moments on the field today. I'm sure there'll be some bright spots. But I think it's guys playing for themselves. And, obviously that's a part of any NFL team, but you got to have some element of we're in this together and some emotion. And I just don't see it. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize them unfairly. I'm just calling it as I see it.
Yeah.
And I've seen no passion and enthusiasm, really for months now.
Hayes Carline joining us from Nashville on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. I promise you, Hayes, I said to myself before Tommy asked that most recent question, I'm going to ask Hayes one more question about the game, and then we can pivot to big picture. I know we are already at big picture. There is a game that needs to be discussed that is at hand and is coming up at 1 o'clock. Then we'll circle back to that big picture because I know it's one of our favorite topics to discuss in Duval this time of the year. The Titans. What concerns you the most? Is it that number 2 overall defense in the National Football League? Is there a specific aspect of that defense that concerns you in this matchup? Is it a resurgent Will Levis and, dare I say, Calvin Ridley, whose name we have not spoken yet in an hour and 30 minutes of this program?
Yeah, all great points, Mia. I mean, to me, I do think it's really odd that, like you said, the Titans, I've never seen this. I've never seen a team be second in total yardage allowed. They're 8th on third down. So those are 2 outstanding numbers that you would think, okay, well, if you're second in total yardage and you're 8th on third down, you must be at least top 12 in points allowed. Nope, they're 27th, allowing 27.7 points per game. Now, some of that has been Will Levis and the offense, pick sixes, short fields for the opponent. Their special teams is a disaster, so that's really hurt Tennessee as well. But, yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for the Jaguars to move the ball up and down the field on this Tennessee unit. They don't generate a lot of big plays. They're 27th in the league in interception rate, 20th in interception rate, 18th in sack rate. So they're below average on the big plays, defensively. But they still do an excellent job of getting teams off the field. In terms of Will Levis, this is why this game is big for the Jaguars today, because you've got to make sure Tennessee moves off of Will Levis. And you can help that today by forcing Will Levis into some bad decisions, some turnovers, and hopefully win the game, because the jury is very much out on Will Levis here. You can tell, it's almost, I'd even say it's probably more 60% think the Titans should move on, 40% think Levis is their guy for at least another year. But the Jaguars can help move that conversation along. And if Will Levis plays poorly today in a loss, then you've done something there to affect that rival as they move forward, because you want Tennessee to invest a high pick in a quarterback again. Now, Levis was a second-round pick, but you love nothing more than for Tennessee to take a first-round quarterback. You want that churn to continue because they may keep missing. And, the last thing you want is for Will Levis to, get on solidified footing with a good performance today.
Yep.
Like you said, he's played really well over the last 4 weeks. And now, now maybe they're going to take, if they finish ahead of you, then maybe they're taking Myles Graham or Travis Hunter or whoever, a player that you might covet. So I think the biggest storyline for me today in this game is the Jaguars need to force Will Levis into a bad performance and move him closer to being replaced. And so we'll see. I have my doubts that'll happen because the Jaguars obviously are just atrocious on defense. Last in yardage, 27th in interception rate, 28th in sack rate, 27th on third down, tied for 29th in points allowed. I mean, it's just been a disaster on that side of the ball. So it's hard for me to believe that that's going to be much, much better. But look, I mean, Will Levis has made some mistakes this year where really all you had to do was catch the ball. I mean, it's just some strikingly bad decisions. He's, like I said, he's been better coming off the injury, but that's the biggest thing today. Make the Titans feel like they've got to move off of Will Levis.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Man, those stats on defense, they just drive me insane. And how you don't make a change on that side of the ball, but that'll be a conversation for a later day. All right, Hayes, what about running the ball, man? Can we get Tank Bigsby going? I know they've played the run better recently. Overall, they give up about 4.3 a carry. Can we get it going on the ground today? What do you think?
It's going to be difficult with that Tennessee front, but yeah, I mean, I don't think they have any choice. And, Tank Bigsby, I think, has been a bright spot this year. I'd love to see him get the ball 15, 20 times today. And obviously ETN is, can be a factor as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think you have no choice because I don't think Mac Jones is going to light up Tennessee.
Right.
So you've got to protect Mac Jones as much as you can, and the ground game is the best way to do it. So I would absolutely love to see Tank and Travis get rolling, but you got to block those guys. And Tommy, the offensive line. I mean, I think they're going to lose another street fight because I think that's something Tennessee does well.
Sweat and Simmons, I mean, you're talking about two tough hombres right there, man. Getting them out of the way is going to be a challenge.
And
Sweat's going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, we'll know that 90 minutes before kick, but he didn't practice all week.
All week,
so
yep.
I can't remember a rookie not practicing all week and then playing. But obviously, he's had a big year for them. He's a big time player. So we'll see if he's up. But boy, I would think that's awfully difficult for a rookie not practicing all week and then being able to be active and not just be active, but be a high productivity player. So we'll see. But I think certainly Simmons. We all know about him. I mean, he's a Jaguar killer. So Simmons alone makes it a tough matchup. But I've been impressed with Sweat. If he can be out there and the shoulder isn't bothering him much, then he will give the Jaguars fits.
And that's the other side of the coin, Hayes, and that's what we'll leave you. We'll leave our audience with on the Garber Automall hotline. The Titans hit on T'Vondre Sweat. They address the trenches. He fits that identity, if only the Mike Vrabel identity that we know, if not the identity Brian Callahan is trying to build in Nashville. And so leave us with this. Number one, your score prediction, but more than that, dare I say it, ultimately, yes, we all want the Jaguars to succeed. Where are you at in terms of what is the best thing? And you can take this question however you want to take it. What is the best thing for this franchise in the next 5-6 weeks to set them up for long-term success? That can be a young player stepping up. That can be losing out. You tell me, at this juncture, what is the best thing moving forward?
Well, the best thing moving forward is they have to fire the GM and coach. I mean, it starts with that. I mean, whenever Shad wants to do it, whether that's later today, tomorrow morning, whether that's Black Monday, whenever. But you've got to bring in a new vision of Jaguars football. If he doesn't do that, nothing else matters. But so it starts with that. But yeah, I mean, I think I hate to say it, but yeah, you're mathematically out. Once you're mathematically out, it doesn't make sense to win games. I mean, all you're doing is hurting your future prospects. I mean, I don't buy in much to, well, we've got a lot of off-season momentum because we went 5-12 as opposed to 2-15. Obviously, a third of this roster is going to be gone anyway. That's just the nature of the league. So, I don't think fans should pull necessarily for the Jaguars to lose. I mean, that's obviously that's got to be up to the individual fan. But the best thing for their future prospects, yeah, when you're mathematically out, get the best draft pick because you just never know. It doesn't appear to be a great quarterback draft, but maybe if you do have one of those top 3 picks or maybe even the number 1 pick, some team makes a dumb decision, and gives you way more than they should just to move back a couple spots. So I think for the health of the future of the organization, the top draft pick would be the best asset you could get. And, I would think Miles Graham, Travis Hunter would have obviously 2 totally different positions, but I would think if they could get the top interior defensive tackle, somebody to deliver that pass rush from the inside, that would be awfully tempting. Travis Hunter obviously is probably the best overall talent in the draft. So obviously what he could do at corner and receiver would be very enticing. But yeah, I think at this point that the biggest key is it's got to be a new direction of Jaguars football. I don't think the fans are going to have any interest in watching Trent Baalke or Doug Peterson have anything to do with this team next year. So it starts with Shad Khan. And I think if he makes changes and there's a new GM and a new coach, then I think everybody's back on board. Enthusiasm is very high for the offseason because I do think there's some good young talent here. I don't think this is a total rebuild. I think it's just a little bit of a retool with a new administration. So, that's to me the biggest thing right now is even outside of the football lines, it's the direction and the leadership of the organization.
You can follow his exploits up in Nashville on X at Hayes Carline. The Hammer joining us on the Garber Automall hotline, and will be boots on the ground for today's game between the Titans and the Jaguars. We appreciate it, Hayes. Go enjoy, this afternoon and whatever it entails.
Thank you guys so much. Take care.
Later, Hayes.
There he goes. Hayes Carline. You get him each and every day on the Frangie Show from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on the Superstation. One more segment to go with Tommy Mack, Mia O'Brien. This is the Terminix Kickoff Show brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade.
Welcome to Rockville. North America's largest rock festival returns to the Daytona International Speedway in 2025 with Green Day, Korn, Shinedown, and Linkin Park. Plus Bad Omens, Incubus, Good Charlotte, Rob Zombie, Alice in Chains, Pierce the Veil, Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Sublime, Hailstorm, I Prevail, Three Doors Down, Jimmy Eat World, Motionless in White, Bush, Chevelle, Mudvayne, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville takes over the Daytona International Speedway May 15th to the 18th, 2025. 5 stages, 4 days, and over 150 bands. 4-day, single-day camping and VIP passes on sale now at welcometoRockville.com.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank NA, member FDIC.
When mice and rats show up in your space, they can be a real pain. You need them out fast before they have time to multiply. Terminix knows how to shut down rodents, and they'll keep them from coming back to wreak more havoc. When rodents show up, so do we. Don't live with a rodent problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyric.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my take on the Weekend with Dan. Find it on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan, brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
Bolt City AC, heating that rules.
Is your AC ready for the holidays? Bolt City Heating and Air ensures your AC stays in tip-top shape. We know that a clean AC is a healthy AC. Upgrade yours for just $96 a month and enjoy free duct cleanings with your new system. Plus, ask about our 0% financing options.
Bolt City AC, we got the crew. Bolt City AC.
Visit BoltCityAC.com.
Hey y'all, Melissa Scobie here, and you know my husband Josh could really kick that ball.
But when it comes to working around the house, well, not so much. So when I need irrigation, drainage, or seamless gutters, I rely on John Haney's crews at Clearwater. Hit it, guys.
Clearwater Irrigation.
And drainage, too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a dandy. And do it today.
It's the end of the year sale with Universal Roof and Contracting. Get 15% off all roof repairs and replacements, plus a $250 gift card for holiday shopping. With financing options as low as $150 a month, protecting your home's never been easier. Schedule your free roof inspection today. Call 855-ROOF-HELP, and this offer expires December 31st. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
The Terminix Kickoff Show.
Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch on 1010XL.
The countdown, it is on. The Jacksonville Jaguars will face the Tennessee Titans at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on the Superstation. Mia O'Brien, Tommy Mack counting you down on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. We've promised you all program long you would hear from him. Here he is, Walker Little, the now extended long-term answer for your Jacksonville Jaguars at left tackle. Pleased to be joined with Jaguars left tackle Walker Little. Walker, first time I've gotten to speak with you in person since a nice little contract extension. We need the behind the scenes as much as you can. At what point are you told, hey, you're going to play a game Sunday, but you're going to sign a nice little contract extension before then?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the point in which we knew it was going to happen right before the game was like the night before. We were hoping, and we started talking about it during the bye week, and we were hoping to get it done before the game. Obviously, we didn't plan on it running all the way up until that morning, but it's just how it worked out. But yeah, super glad to get it done, and just happy to get it done before the game.
How are you and your representation approached during the bye week? Does your agent call you and say, hey, they've approached us?
Yeah, exactly. Early on in the bye week, he said, hey, they'd reached out and just wanted to kind of start talking numbers and things like that. So that's really how it starts. And then from there, you just kind of start going back and forth. And usually I would say it's probably a longer process than it was, but I think just the fact that it was during the season, and there probably wasn't a whole lot else going on, they were able to kind of get things rolling pretty quickly.
Were you surprised, excited, or?
Yeah, I mean, both. I would say I was surprised that it was happening when it was. Obviously, knew like an extension could be on the table if I was able to play well, but I assumed it would be after the season if that was to come about. But to be able to get it done during the season like this was nice, and obviously to have a little security for the rest of the season.
What time did you actually sit down for that picture that we've now seen?
Yeah, I was at 9:45. So
played a game at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, usually I show up to the stadium at 10. So I told him I'd get there around 9:30, and we actually were able to get up there and start signing and stuff around 9:45. So yeah, I mean, it was quick, and it was hard, obviously, to go from signing that and then 15 minutes later walking over to the stadium and getting into your normal routine. But it was good, and we were able to as offensive line, put together a solid game, so it was good.
Pleased with your performance? I know the last 3 weeks, I think it's 0 sacks and I think 2 pressures or something like that allowed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been playing a lot better, but obviously, there's a lot of hard opponents coming up. This week's going to be another challenge, and, at this point, we're just trying to do everything we can as an offensive line to help the offense get going and to get some wins.
For you guys in particular, Ezra signed the extension. We know Anton's going to be here. Obviously, the 2 guys in the middle as well. So how much for you guys is it about, hey, let's put together 5 great performances because we are building towards next year when we'll all be back?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you always want to just keep building momentum as a team, but even, as a unit. We've been able to get some continuity and some starts on our belts as a group these past few weeks, and I think we're getting better and better as the weeks go on. So just kind of building off that and, getting more comfortable with each other as time goes.
What are you most proud of the last few weeks since you took over the starting role? What part of your game are you most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been doing solid in pass protection against some pretty good guys, and I don't know. I just think coming in midway through the season, going from kind of a bouncing back and forth on each side to then being on one side and actually being the starter, it can be hard at times. So I think I've handled it pretty well.
Now Mac Jones will be the starting quarterback for the next 5 weeks. Let's start with Trevor first. Have you reached out to Trevor, conversations you guys have had with him? Yeah, I mean, I reached out right after the game just to, check in on him. We talked a little bit the next day when he came in and did some of his protocol stuff. And, obviously wish all the best for him. It was a really tough moment seeing that happen to him. And it's even tougher, knowing that he's not going to be around playing with us for the next few weeks. But wish the best for him and, praying for him. And then, as far as Mac goes, really excited for Mac and opportunity he has. He's a really great guy, great leader. Even, from the backup role, he's such a huge personality and just a real positive energy around this team and around the building. So we're really excited to have him in there, and he's done a great job. I mean, he stepped in last game and really was able to jumpstart us and get us going in that second half. And, we're expecting more of the same this week. I feel like I've asked everybody this, so we'll end with this, and I'll ask you, what is your craziest Mac Jones story?
I wouldn't pick one. I would just say the way he is at practice and stuff, and just jumping on people. Whether it's an O-lineman messing up or a wide receiver messing up, he won't hold back. So it's pretty funny.
Is he yelling, screaming? How would you describe it?
All of the above, for sure.
As Josh Hines Allen walks over, what's your favorite Mac Jones story? What's the craziest thing Mac Jones has ever done around you?
Can we talk about this outside?
Oh, okay. We'll take this outside. Walker, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Mia.
Don't worry, that's no hard feelings. That's Josh Hines Allen, the union rep, just making sure we're following protocol in the locker room.
Oh, is that right?
Media policy, yes. It's been encouraged that we do video interviews outside. You can still do audio interviews in the locker room, yes.
Yeah, you never know who you can see in that locker room.
Right, exactly. But we appreciate Walker Little. We appreciate Josh Hines Allen. And look, I mean, as Steve on the MyBookie Digital Studio pointed out earlier in the program, Walker Little, the not allowing sacks, not allowing pressures the last 3 weeks, was that an indicator to Trent Baalke and company of, hey, let's get this deal done now rather than later?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. All I know is if I'm a free agent, I want to come to Jacksonville because the owner's handing out cash, whether you deserve it or not. He don't care. He's just putting it out there. No, look, Walker's fine. He's just, look, I think, for a guy that has had opportunities in the past to win the job, he just never did. All right? He just never did. If he was really the guy, like they believed in him, Cam would have been gone 2 years ago. They wouldn't need Cam because they got Walker. Now, look, I hope he pulls it off. I hope he does end up being that tackle that you can count on. He's really good. Look, he's done really good with the run. He's gotten physical with the run. The athleticism he has, nobody's going to get around him, I don't think. It's hard to get around him because he's so fast and quick and athletic. Where he struggles is that inside pass rush, underneath the chin, bowling you over. And look, it's hard because you're thinking speed coming around, and then they come inside. Well, your weight's not on your inside foot or that hip, so you do give up, and then you hope you can recover. But that's where he struggles the most. Before we say goodbye and give you our final thoughts and score predictions for today's game, let's take one last look around the AFC South.
And now we're down to 1 minute and 20 seconds to go in the third quarter, and the Colts are hanging on for the time being, up by a point.
Yeah, you need a great red zone stop right here.
May second down pass over the middle, deflected. Was that picked? Julian Blackman.
I don't believe that ball ever hit the ground. Just a tremendous break on the football from Zaire Franklin.
And the Colts have a takeaway as the Patriots are turned away.
An unbelievable play by Julian Blackman.
Colts and Texans both on byes this week, both coming off of victories. The Texans still in control of the AFC South at 8-5, but Indy just 2 games back. Of course, the Tennessee Titans 3-9. Your Jacksonville Jaguars 2-10. Real quick, Tommy, could we see a third straight year, in which the leader in the AFC South collapses down the stretch, knowing the Texans, Dolphins, Ravens, Chiefs coming off their bye?
You could. I think the Texans got a pretty good team, though, overall. I do. I think they've got enough weapons on offense. Joe Mixon, he's a really good running back. I like him a lot. And their defense is pretty good. So I think they're a pretty decent team.
Jags get the win today?
I got them winning.
You do?
Yeah, I don't. It's 2019, so it's going to be low scoring.
Okay.
It's going to be really tight, but I just think they find a way to get this one done.
I picked the Titans to cover that 3.5-point spread, and I am sticking by it. Our thanks to Frank Frangie. Our thanks to Hayes Carlyon, both from joining us from Nashville. They'll be covering this game for 1010XL, so be sure to follow them on X. And thank you for joining us on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. The Publix Tailgate Show is next week. We'll catch you later.